Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money Multiplier Pro with Kim. Today is part 2 of our conversation about the Script Saver Plus program. So stay tuned to hear more about this great program that they are offering to employers. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money Multiplier Pro with Kim. Today is part 2 of my conversation with Bill Latz about the Script Saver Plus program. So everybody, please welcome Bill back for part 2 of this great conversation.
Hi, Bill. Good to see you again.
Thanks for coming back on. I appreciate it.
Of course.
So let's get back into our conversation that we had started in regard to the Script Saver program. So there are a couple things that I'm sure people want to know and can you tell me just some of the specifics an employer might realize from providing this program to their employees?
Yeah. So when we developed this program, we realized that the cost of healthcare in general had gotten very, very costly, and prescriptions were no exception. So a lot of times we learned that employees were even foregoing their medications because they couldn't afford it. So we wanted to bring a program to them that was very affordable. So this is think of it as a prepaid and prescription program where the employer pays a monthly fee for the program for their employees, which includes all the members of their families. And then when the members go to get a prescription, the cost to the member is $0. So there's no out-of-pocket cost to the members. It's just a monthly subscription fee for that employer.
That's great. I mean, it's important. Like I said, I know we had talked about this, how important it is to be able to offer benefits. And, a program like this is just really another tool in the employer's belt to be able to hold on to those key employees. So those people that they want to, keep around and be able to, I think the key here too is that not just about the benefits and things like that, but when an employer offers plans like this, it shows that they care, that they worry about, their needs and protecting their family. And I think that it's so important to be able to have those type of tools that they can, offer that shows that they care about their employees, that they want to help them. And people relate to that. People understand that. And, the benefits that this could offer to those employees is really important. And when you talked about how people are not taking their medications because they can't afford it, I remember talking to one of my clients and he was sharing his medication. He was a diabetic and he was sharing his medication with his girlfriend, right? Which to me was insane. And, he just, was not a healthy person, smoker, the whole deal. And I said, you have to get, I was kind of like, what do you mean you're not taking medications? You're a diabetic, So when that happens more often than not right now, because it really is, it's very scary. And it all comes down to the cost, and it's gotten the health industry, the health insurance industry is broken. We know that it's become so overwhelming for families, especially people like myself who are self-employed, and we have to find benefits on our own. And we have to, I'm a small company, a small business. I don't, it's not easy for me to offer benefits to an employee. If I, at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to the cost.
Exactly.
So,
where we've seen this really benefit is the smaller employer. They really have their employees are great employees, but they'll bounce around a lot because whether it be a landscaping company, whether it be a manufacturing company, it doesn't make any difference. They're mostly going to be lower paid employees, and they're gonna jump from employer to employer to if they can make a nickel or a dime more. So that employer, that smaller employer, is really looking for something that, yes, it's going to benefit their employees, their families, and it's going to show that they care. It's going to create a little stickiness, if you will, for that employer. So when that employee goes to leave or thinks about leaving, and they talk to the new employer, potentially they go, well, do you offer benefits, and what do you offer? And they go, no, we don't. Well, they're going to stay with that employer because they're offering them a good quality plan. What we've seen also is in many situations when that employer is not providing benefits, those employees are on some kind of a exchange program, the state mandated program. And those plans also are very costly, and they typically have very high deductibles and very high copays. So even though they might be covered through an insurance plan that they've purchased on their own, when they go to get prescriptions, again, the cost, their out-of-pocket expenses can be very, very high. So this program supplements that very nicely in the sense that when they go to get a prescription, if it's on the list of drugs, of listed drugs, it's no cost to them. And there's no limit to how often they can get their prescriptions or how many prescriptions they may have. So if you have one or two, it's great. But if you have a family and you're taking 8 or 9 prescriptions a month, that can really add up. And so the program does not provide any limits to the amount of prescriptions they can get.
Well, that's great. I mean, and you're right. You're 100% right. I mean, if you have a family of 5 and 3 people are on medications, that, even if they're paying copays or they're paying, a small percentage, that still adds up at the end of the day.
It sure does.
So and a big part of, what we do here is showing people how to save money, right? That's, what I do. And that's why when this came about and I heard about this program and how you're helping people and the medications, like I said, have become so costly and so expensive for some families, and especially, the self-employed, they're choosing those high deductibles. So they're choosing those plans because they just can't afford the monthly amount. So anything that we can do, like a program like this, to be able to offer some assistance in helping people, cut their costs down, help them get those medications that they so desperately need, and not have to forego, not taking those medications because they can't afford it.
Yes.
I think this is just key, and this is going to help so many people out there. So I guess my next question would be then, what type of medications or what medications are covered under this plan? Are there a lot, or there, specific, I know from doing health insurance that there's different tiers of medications. So how, what type of medications would typically be covered under this plan?
Sure. No, that's great. Thank you for asking. There's there's over 800 of the most common medications on the plan. It's actually approaching 900 medications at this point. And we're continuously adding to it as needed. So if there's ever a situation where we find there's not a prescription covered or a medication covered rather, and there's a high volume for it, we'll add it to our formulary. There's 2 kinds of medications. There's an acute formulary and there's chronic. So if somebody has an immediate need, they get sick, they need to get an antibiotic, whatever it may be, they're going to get a prescription from their doctor, and then they would just take that right to their pharmacy, and they can get up to a 21-day supply for that particular acute medication. Again, no cost to the member at that time. But for something that's what we call chronic or ongoing, typically a medication you're taking, a maintenance medication, maybe for blood pressure or cholesterol, something along those lines. Those medications are going to be honored through a mail order program, which also makes it very convenient. They're going to get a mail order sent right to their home. You have to set up ahead of time, get a prescription from your doctor, of course. But at that point, they're going to automatically be mailed to the member's home on a regular basis based on the time of the prescription, whether it be 30 days or 60 days, whatever it may be. That will automatically be refilled and mailed right to the member's home, again, at no cost.
Oh, that's amazing. Again, that falls into the telemedicine kind of concept where they just call up, say, hey, I need these are the medications, especially people that are on, drugs that they get every 3 months or every month or whatever that may be. It's just convenient and they don't have to think about it. And they know their medications are coming, and there's so many people that are on those just simple tier 1 level medications for high blood pressure, cholesterol, things like that they just have to take on a daily basis that they don't want to even have to think about, right? They just want to have it come and not have to worry about, going to the pharmacy and getting the prescription, all that, and how all that works. So I think that is again another great part of this plan that people can take advantage of.
Let me also add, which I didn't mean to
Sure.
forget about. One of the really, I think, highlights of this program is if you are a diabetic, diabetic supplies and medications are also included at no cost for this program. A member would get a starter kit for free, and that's going to include things like their test strips and their insulin. And again, it's going to be mailed directly right to their home. So those people that are diabetic, many times it's a very expensive process to have to go through and keep their medication up. So this is going to really, it's tailor-made for people that have diabetes. Let's talk about members that don't even have a prescription, but they're maybe taking over-the-counter medications, maybe allergy medications or pain medications like ibuprofen. We have been able to negotiate the lowest cost of those drugs. So once again, if they use our program to purchase the drugs, they're going to be paying significantly less than they would at a typical, say, Rite Aid or CVS or Walgreens. And then last but not least, if there is a prescription that the member needs to take that's not on our formulary list, which is, by the way, I rarely have that happen, but let's say it does happen, it's not included, they can then purchase the drug through our company at our discounted levels. So even if the drug's not covered, they're going to be able to take advantage of that discount for those particular drugs.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. And as someone who has allergies, it's nice to be able to, this will be perfect for me. I mean, we might, between allergy medicine and, over the counter stuff and things like that, any way we can save. I mean, that's why I thought this program was so great. And the fact that you offer it in so many different ways that, this is extremely beneficial to everyone. I mean, you don't even have to be, on medications, just know that you have it, that in case something happens, you get sick and you need an antibiotic, you have a program that you can go and get this at no cost. Because there's a lot of plans that they still charge you a small amount copay for a drug, like maybe it's $4 or $5, whatever that may be. But I mean, I don't know about you, but I like paying zero, right? It doesn't matter how much it is. Zero is zero. So, again, that adds up at the end of the day when you're taking, 3 or 4 medications and you have to pay copays and you have to, that could be, $30, $50 a month, whatever that may be. That's more money that's in their pocket. So having 800 medications, I mean, I know typically a lot of my clients are on those, typical medications that are just very simple, like diabetes and, the heart high cholesterol medication and, depression medication. That's very, very big right now. There's a lot of people that are struggling since COVID, and there's more people than not that are, taking antidepressants and things like that. So again, this is a great time for a program like this to come about that, people can utilize and take advantage of. So I guess another question I might have. So if people decide not to do mail order and they go to the pharmacy, are they able to go, how many pharmacies out there are, what typical pharmacies accept this type of program?
Right. So for any of the acute medications, again, something you have an immediate need for, you can go to any of the national pharmacies. They're all on the list. A lot of even the local pharmacies are included in our list. It's a massive list. It's thousands of pharmacies around the country, but certainly all the national pharmacies, CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, all of those are included in our program. Again, and they'll get up to a 21-day supply. If it's a maintenance medication, they do have to go through our mail order program. That is a requirement.
Okay. So that's good to know, because I was going to ask that next. So you answered my question. So, typically, people that are on those maintenance drugs, a lot of times they do mail order. So, and, really, it's just the convenience of it. It's the fact that, you don't have to think about every 3 months, you get your medications and it's delivered to your door.
Well, and honestly, part of the reason for the requirement is it's a way for us to save money as well. So we're passing that savings on to the employer and to the employee. So that's why a maintenance drug is something you're planning for. It's not something that just comes up, immediately. So, and you can do it very quickly. It's not a hard process, and it doesn't take long. We have our own pharmacy, by the way. So I should also offer or mention that we have a pharmacist on staff. So if anyone ever needed help with the transition of their prescription over to our pharmacy so they could do the mail order, or maybe they had, like I did, for an example, I was looking for a lower cost medication, or not a lower cost, a medication that would be more beneficial for my cholesterol. I was able to talk to a pharmacist and speak to them and talk about my diet and all those types of things. So there are coaching available to to those members as well.
Yeah, that is so important. And, being able to get somebody on the phone and to talk it through, because there are so many different versions of a particular drug that, maybe one is not being efficient enough or not working the way it should be, and they can give you some guidance as to what other drug you can try, and that is really, really important, because so many people are on medication that they just keep taking and taking, and then they just get used to taking it and not realizing, or that it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing 100%. So having someone to be able to call and to give you some guidance as to, the effectiveness of a medication, or maybe they can offer another drug that might be more beneficial.
Well, not to talk about myself too much, but to use myself as an example to follow up what I just said. I have been taking the same cholesterol medication for years. My doctor said it's working. Let's keep with it. Never had a reason to change. When I went over to the Script Saver program, that particular medication was not on the list. So I called the pharmacist at Script Saver, and we talked it through, and had my diet and everything else. He said, well, let's try this other medication rather, which we did. And guess what? Not only did it worked better than the one I had been on before. So it actually lowered my cholesterol count even lower than the one I'd been on for so many years. I didn't get that kind of service with my pharmacy at CVS, and my doctor really never even brought it up as a topic. So I felt very gratified that I was able to not only get the drug for no cost, but it actually had a better effect on my overall cholesterol.
Yeah, that's so I guess then my other question then would be, so what if so you have a medication that doesn't have a generic form, so that would kind of really fall into that as well, because they would probably be able to offer you a similar drug with a generic version than what the one was prescribed to you, right? That would actually also be beneficial too, to be able to, because there are drugs that don't have a generic form, and then you have to pay for, the premium prescription that costs, double the amount of money. So if you have somebody that can give you, like you said, like with yours, just give you an alternative that could either work the same or better, that again is another savings, another ability to be able to,
Exactly.
not have to spend extra money when you don't have to.
Exactly. And the fact that I was able to actually talk to a pharmacist, have a dialogue with them, was very comforting for me. I just, to go into a pharmacist and talk to them across the counter is a little intimidating, but this was a much better environment.
Yeah. It is. When you have somebody in this day and age, you're always talking to machines, or you're talking to a recording, or whatever it may be. Having the ability to get a live person on the phone is so important, and people appreciate that, and people like the fact that they get to have a conversation with a live person. And I think that that being able to offer that type of service is very important to a lot of people.
Kim, one other thing that we've run into quite a bit, I just thought I'd bring this up. Some of the health plans out there have limitations, pre-existing condition limitations, if you will. So if you have a medical condition and you need to take a drug for it, sometimes those prescriptions are not covered by the medical plan. And therefore the employer or the employee both are paying a high number to be on this medical plan, only to find out, because they have a pre-existing condition, their medication is not covered, or it's not going to be covered for at least a year or something of that nature.
Right.
So our program does not have anything like that. It does not have any limitations or pre-existing condition limitations. So we find that even members that have health plans oftentimes buy our plan anyhow, just because they want to get their prescriptions covered. It's crazy that a health plan wouldn't cover a medication that might help that employer's health, that employee's health. But that's the way a lot of the health plans are today.
Well, we all know insurance companies are designed to not pay out. So they'll do anything they can not to pay out. So they'll find some type of, loophole or some type of reason not to pay a claim or pay a prescription, whatever it may be. So, and when it comes to the health insurance, there's a lot of people have pre-existing conditions, and a lot of people are excluded from certain things because of those pre-existing conditions. So
exactly.
But Bill, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it. This is a great conversation. We learned more about this great program, and I look forward to our part 3 of our discussion on the Script Saver Plus program. But thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to our next conversation. Have a great day, everybody.
Great. Thank you. Take care.
Welcome.